Well, hello everyone. I am back after working in the workshop. I'm going to take a breather here and work on some genealogy. So today I am working on George Simmons, and I have been working on him for a while. I just haven't been recording all of it. And so here are my files. A lot of people like to watch how I do the filing. So I have the genealogy archives, and then everything underneath is usually surname folders. Not always, but for the most part, unless it's location folders. So I have folders under here for the United States and different states that I might have specific stuff for that in areas that I'm researching. Obviously, I do a lot of North Carolina stuff. So, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff here. So this is in the Simmons folder, as you can see here. We scroll all the way down, we can see the Simmons folder is highlighted. Under the Simmons folder, there's a bunch of folders, as you can see here. And we're working on George Edgar Simmons. Now, his father was George W. Simmons, so we have to be careful not to get confused in the records. I have some stuff that I've collected over time. I always, here, I'm going to change this just for grins and giggles to a list view or details view, so you can see that when we put a 1 in front of our research notes, it always rises to the top. And so I'm going to open that up and we'll see where we pick up from next. So I got to find that Word document as soon as it uploads. So it opened on another screen, and so I have done quite a bit of work, as you can see. Clearly still a work in progress. And so zooming in so you can actually see what I'm doing, always put the header. If you double click into a header, if you have it set up for a header, you can change it. Sometimes I will put a birth date here if I want to differentiate somebody. So at the top, a lot of times when it's still a work in progress, I will put in red font where I left off. So I'm telling myself, finish putting in the sources on Ancestry. I left off last. This was the last thing I did before I closed down. I think it was yesterday. That I'm picking up with the World War I draft registration card. You know, like how I said 1 there, you know. Okay, so I have already put in a lot. Some of the stuff that I have just I was just going through what I had, discovered over the years. I discovered that I need to find the 1940 census. I don't know if we're going to try that today or not. We'll see what kind of trouble we can get into. So back over on Ancestry, I'm going to jump into his profile, and I was literally going from top to bottom, so I knew exactly where I was picking up, and this is where I'm picking up at, is the World War I draft registration card. Now, he was born in 1887, and so oh look, he's 5'11". That's interesting. See, we can go find all kinds of great details. So one of the things that you always want to pay attention to with regard to draft registration cards, sometimes they don't show up like this. Sometimes you only see this card here. So always go to the right, because there was the back side of the card. And so this is where we get that information about him being 5'11", medium build, right? Blue eyes, ooh, and brown hair. Bald, no. That's interesting. Has permanently lost an arm, a leg, a hand, a foot, or both. Eyes, or otherwise disabled, no. All right, so this is all good information. We're going to put all this into our research notes here in just a second. So here we have George Edgar Simmons. He's living on Franklin Road, which is good to know. So that also puts us in a specific time frame if we can discover when this card was written. Now, a lot of these draft registration cards were not written. I mean, there's not a date on them necessarily. Oh, this one does have a date. Ah, sweet. Okay, so this one was, it looks like June 5th, 1917. Okay. Which totally makes sense. Okay, now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go and open our friend Site Builder and start working on the source citation first. I love Site Builder. And, you know, this is truly a mom and pop shop who put this together, and boy, is it a cool product. So they have a free version if you're not familiar. I have the premium version because I love it that much. So I'm going to log in. And now that I'm here, I'm looking for a draft registration card. So that would be kind of under military typically. So let's go look at military, United States, draft registrations. Is this going to tell me whether it's World War I or World War II? I don't know that it matters. So I quickly set this up so that we could have Site Builder on one side and this information on the other side. So the collection name is U.S. World War I Draft Registration Cards. I'm going to try and copy that, see? Because I cheat. There we go. Website title is Ancestry. URL is always https://www.ancestry.com. Now, sometimes you'll put the entire URL in there, but it's not necessary. Because most of the time with the information that you're going to put in here, people would be able to find it anyway. So this is George E. Simmons. Is a serial number listed on here? Don't know if that serial number is in the upper right corner or not. Please stand by. Yes, so I had to go Google that because normally the draft registration card is in the upper left corner, which kind of threw me on this one. I think it's this 4019 number, but there is a number up here, but it also says Form 1, and then it says 3248. So I'm not sure which one it is, to be honest. I'm going to go with this 4019, but I'm also going to take note of this because it might be this very faint number here. In fact, let's go back one record and see what's on the upper left corner of this one. 2168, and then this one says 1362. Interesting. That one says 1362. Yeah, see, so it's confusing to me, as I'm sure it is. So if anybody out there watching knows the exact answer for this one, because you know, when I went and did a quick Google search, it said it was in the upper left corner. So maybe it's that it said typically it's in the upper left corner. So I actually think it's this one here. So I'm going to put that one here. 4019. Let's do this. Or 3248. We'll see what that looks like in a. See, this actually I think is a World War II draft registration card. Because this doesn't look like the right source citation for this. Because wait for it. Whoops, wrong. I went to the wrong place. See, I'm used to the World War II ones going to the next one. See, this doesn't have a draft registration board listed like a World War II does. So what I'm going to do, let's see, what does this say? Registration, Jefferson County. It does, draft S. It doesn't say anything else. So I'm going to say, let's go Jefferson County. Right? Ohio. Draft board address. Again, this is not typical for a World War I draft registration card. So if I were really going to get in the weeds, if this was professional work that I was doing, I would probably go and look this up in Elizabeth Shown Mills' book for a World War I draft registration card. But I'm too lazy right now. So I'm going to say none. And source information, if not specified, then state that. Okay, well, it says original data, United States Selective Services, World War I, Washington, D.C. Oh, sure, let's just go with all that. Let's see, all of that to that point. Control C, right there. Let's go with this too. So I'm going to scroll on down here. Wait for it. It always helps the roll number in case you ever have to look it up. Now, we don't know specifically which roll it is because there's 4,582 rolls, so we're just going to go with what we got here for grins and giggles because it's my own personal stuff. I don't really have to worry about it too much. All right, so it's copied to the clipboard. We go back over to the research notes, and now we want to go up to 2016. Hopefully I'm not making you dizzy. 1916, excuse me. 1916, we're going to insert right here. So I'm going to do the Windows tab and hit right, so it pops over to the right, and then we still have this one on the left, so that's cool. And can I close that little window? Thank you. All right, so the date of this card, I keep wanting to go to the right. I keep wanting to hit that little right button instead of just pushing to the right. Okay, so I'm going to say 5 June 1917, WW1 draft registration card, George E. Simmons. Now I'm going to push this back over to the left, and we're going to pick up all this good information. So let's just dictate this. Shall we dictate this? Except for I can't find my dictate button because it's hiding. Let's go. If we go over here and we hit the dictate button, and now can I do this? Oop, haha! It's already dictating. That's funny. You're probably laughing. You're laughing. I know you are. All right, so here we go. Now that I got the dictate button open. George is 29 years old. His home address is Franklin Road. His birth date is listed as July 16th, 1887. Let's take all of this and make it not bold. Control-Shift-B. Let's see, what are we looking at here? Are you a natural-born citizen? He was listed as a natural-born citizen, born in Steubenville, Ohio, USA. Okay. What does that say? What is your present trade or occupation? Mill. Oh boy. Mill something worker. Mill. What are the odds this says? Just says white married. Yeah, good luck with that, Connie. All right, mill hand, mill. I don't know. So what we do is we go occupation, and then we can, so if we're really having trouble figuring out what this is, it looks like mill. I don't know. You know what it looks like? Here's a trick. MIGHS. That's what it looks like. I have no idea what it really is. Millwright? I'm going to say millwright because I think that's an R. Millwright. R-I-G-H. Is that a T? It looks like an S, but helper. what we can do is we can go like this and put a question mark there. I don't know if you can see that on my research notes. And we can move on. All right, so by whom employed? It looks like label. Something number 13. Iron. I think that says, so let me put a comma in there. Employed by label iron number 13. I keep wanting to go up to my other screen to turn off the microphone, because that's where I'm recording on the other screen. Sure, let's go with that. Okay. Let's go in here. Let's do this. Steubenville, Ohio. I like how it fixes itself. These voice recognition things are getting so much better. Have you a father, mother, wife, child under 12, or a sister or brother under 12 solely dependent on you? Me, child, and wife. That's what. Oh, one child and wife. See? That's too funny. He has one child and wife as a dependent. You know, I have a really bad habit of this. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. I'm sure you have. I have a really bad habit of writing in the first person and then, like, writing in present day. And so I end up having to go back and say the date was, not the date is. And then I did it right here because I caught myself. But, yeah, I do this a lot. I have to go back and fix he had one child, right? All right. Moving on. He is married. He was married, right? He was married and white. What military service have you had? None. Okay. Back to the microphone. He was married. He was white and has not had any military service. This document is signed by him, George E. Simmons. I keep going for the wrong. Look at that orange. And I'm going to put that in quotes, as that's what he signed it as. So, just cleaning up my grammar here. All right. He was white and see, it caught my habit there. He was white and had not had any military service. This document was signed by him, George E. Simmons. Okay. Even though there's not a period there, I'm going to put one there anyway. Look at that beautiful E. What great handwriting. Ooh, I would love to have that kind of handwriting. All right. Now, we don't want to forget the next page. Did you claim an exemption? Ah, we need to know that, right? Let's put that before the signature. He was white and had not done any military service. All right, sure, fine. Let's go with that. Okay. I keep going to the wrong microphone. For the question, did you claim exemption from draft, specific grounds? And he wrote broken foot. So something you need to always know, just because someone filled out a draft registration card did not mean they served. And whether they believe him or not, and they took him anyway, is another story. So now we're going to go over here. Let me back up so I can actually see my document here. All right, so I'm going to zoom in. I just said I was going to zoom out, but I'm going to do this so you can see it. So in brackets, I'm going to say page 2, or back of card. Let's do that. So anytime you are doing a, especially like a transcript or an abstract or something where you're doing a lot of quotes, use brackets if you're going to make reference to end of page 1, beginning of page 2, that kind of thing. All right, so I want to make note of this. Noted at the top of the card is 34-4-7A stamped. I say that because, and I'll go back and make notes about this, the information on the front of the card. But as we learn more about the records, it might be that we discover what these numbers mean. And the back of the card was 34-4-7A stamped. Okay. I'm going to finish this side, and then I'm going to try and remember to go back to the front side and make note of those other notes, even though it's in the source citation. Okay. He was 5 foot 11 inches tall, with medium build, blue eyes, and brown hair. He was not bald. He had not lost an arm, leg, hand, foot, or had lost his eyes. It said no, he was not disabled. Now I could clean that up. But I'm too lazy right now. Okay. This is signed by a registrar. I'm not going to make note of that. Normally, if it was... I'm just not going to right now. Precinct. Here we go. Precinct. What does that say? 4-C, 4-6. Jefferson, Ohio. Let's go back to our site builder. Was this a precinct? This was a draft board. I'm gonna go precinct. I think that's 4-6. I don't know. 4-. I'm going with 6. It might be C. Who knows? We'll see what that does to our... Let's see. I'm looking at the source citation. That's quite a source citation, actually. Serial number. Jefferson County, none. I think I didn't hit that right. I hit the wrong button. Here we go. Precinct 4-. Alright, now I'm going back on this. I'm beginning to think it's 4-C. Alright, scream at me in the comments. What is it? Maybe I'll hear you. For now, I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to use that. And before I finish the research notes, I need to go back and make note of those numbers. Even though it's in the source citation, I want to make a note. Where am I going to do this? I'm going to do it right up here. At the top, there is a handwritten number 3248. And on the right-hand side, 4019. Let's not make this bold. That does not need to be bold. So at the top, handwritten number, top, left side. Okay, I think we've got that one. So let's just paste in that source citation. So let's pull up this, go to references, insert footnote, Control V to paste because we'd already copied it. And for some reason we picked up a couple different periods there. Okay. I think that's more information than one possibly needs, but you know, more more is okay. Better too much than too little. So now I'm just going to clean this space up and move on to the next one. And we'll go back over here. We'll see what else is down here and see what kind of trouble we can get. Oh, look, World War II draft registration card. Let's go take a look at that. This is a little more, see, this is the upper left corner that we typically would see the serial number. And this is now a draft. Okay, he ended up putting in a draft registration card for both wars. That's crazy. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Since you watched me do the other one, I'm going to pause for a minute and I'm going to put this in, and then I'll just talk you through it real quick because there's no sense in boring you to death with putting all this in. What I will tell you is I'm going to roll down here. Now, I don't think there's actually a date on here. Is there? Oh, look. We're going to probably need to rotate that, but I'm not going to just yet. Okay, 25th of April, 1942. Got to remember that. 25th of April, 1942. So I'm going to scroll ahead. 25th of April, 1942 is probably going to go in front of this one. 1940, yeah. All right, so, let's see, 1942. 25 April, 1942. WW2 draft registration card. Okay, I already ran into a stumbling block. Place of residence, care of. Anytime I don't know what that says, I'm going to go Google the whole word to see what pops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to Google and try that real quick. So I may be way off base here because I typed in what it looked like to me. And I could be way wrong. I put the whole thing in here to see if I could figure out what this was. And it says, did you mean Lies Trailer Camp? Well, if I click on that, we'll see what happens. And it's like, oh, there's not very good matches for that. All right, so I'm going to bug out of that. It could be his trailer camp. Road number 4. I'm going to guess that place is Massillon. I've not ever heard of this place before. So let's Google that. Oh my goodness. Well, sure enough, there is a place called Massillon, Ohio. Never heard of it, but this is good to know. It's one of those little details that we can now add to our research notes as a location. So at this point in time, as we're continuing to do our research, right, we're discovering pieces of the timeline, which is always good. Okay, so I'm going to finish putting this stuff in real quick. by the way, as I'm putting this stuff in here, this could be rural district number 4 or rural. Sometimes you'll see RR, rural route number 2. Here it says R period D number 2. So I'm going to guess that's rural district number 2, but I don't know for sure exactly. But we just write it exactly as we see it. It is signed by George E. Simmons. I've put a lot of this in. Whoops, I forgot to turn this microphone off. I do this all the time. Isn't that funny? Okay, so George E. Simmons. And I haven't gone to page 2 yet, but I'll get there. This is that case where I was telling you, you have to, there's no image to the right, but you always want to flip the card because there's more information on the back. And so I think I can rotate this. Can I rotate this? No, that's a share button. There's a way to rotate this. Rotate to the right. There we go. And now I can read through this and add this information. Other obvious physical characteristics that will aid in identification. End of thumb, left hand off. One of the things I wanted to show you was the signatures. This is the World War I draft registration card. This is a World War II draft registration card. And I kind of messed up when I was recording, and I started to look at this marriage certificate. And it's a marriage license in a book, and it's on Family Search. And so I'm showing this again because somehow I wasn't recording. But one of the reasons why I wanted to line this up this way is to look at the signature, because I want to see if this marriage registry book is an original signature or not. Well, here's his signature on the draft World War I draft registration card. Here's his signature on the World War II draft registration card. Why is this important? Well, it helps us verify information, right? It gives us some clarity as to if a person signed a document, they're probably like looking at it going, yeah, that's right. That's my birth date. That's my whatever. Well, one of the things that is very striking about his signature is not only the G, but the E. So, you know, he probably starts here at the bottom, strokes up, around, E, and then puts this loop on the end. And the S is very distinct as well, but it's pretty standard S. Looking at his other signature down here, it has the same stroke pattern. It comes up, over, makes the E with a loop at the bottom, as does here. He comes up, he makes a loop, and a loop. And so I believe this is the same signature, same guy writing his signature at different times in his life, right? This is 1913. This is 1917. This is 1940 something. I don't know exactly what the date is on that. So long story short is, you know, this is a way we can compare signatures. So you always want to keep an eye on those signatures to help verify the documents. So I have added all this information about the marriage to his second wife, and I wanted to point something out. So I'm going to move this aside for a second. On the marriage license, if I can get the, there we go. It's starting to work now. So it says George E. Simmons made an application for marriage. Right, he's 26 years old. He was a resident of Steubenville, Jefferson County, Ohio. He's born in Steubenville, Jefferson County, Ohio. He was a plasterer, which is consistent across all records. And George W. Simmons is his father. Annie E. Dunbar is his mother, his maiden name, by the way. And he was previously married to Minnie L. Koss, now deceased. So if this was the first time I was coming across this, this would be important information. And then he's, this license is to marry Alice B. Lynn, right? She's 24 years old, of Mingo, and she was born in Mingo Junction, Jefferson County, Ohio. She does not really have an occupation. She's at home. Her father's name is Elijah Lynn, and her mother's name is Sarah King. That might be new information for me. I need to double check. But so that's confirmation of the parents, right? And then we have those signatures. But what I wanted to point out was it says, sworn to me by this day, the 6th day of October, 1913. Well, if we weren't paying attention, we would think that was the date of marriage. It is not, because they actually got married on the 7th day of October, 1913. So you always want to look for the return at the bottom where, it says, I hereby certify that on the 7th day of October, 1913, Mr. George E. Simmons and Miss Alice B. Lynn were legally joined in marriage by me, the minister. And so, just saying, just letting you know. Okay, so here I am back on George's profile, and I've got all this information put into the research notes that I've been working on. Nothing spectacular about this particular profile, but as I'm working through these other sources, we can always go and say, hey, wait a minute, this one was the one we were just working on. All it does is draw to the name and gender, when it should theoretically also write to this one. So what I can do is I can say view, I can say associated facts, I can say marriage. It's not this one, that was his first wife. There must be two, I must have two facts in there, I need to clean that up. Here it is, 1913. So we add that, and it comes to the top. We close that out, and now when we click on this marriage, it writes to the Ohio marriage certificate. It looks like I might, do I have two in here? Question mark. This is another index for the same thing, I'll betcha. Ohio marriages database family search. Yeah, this is the same thing. Let me double check. Yep, but at least this one has a web address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one because I don't need a duplicate. So I'm going to remove that. Bye-bye. And now let's go see what this is. A birth certificate for Helen Marie Simmons. So now if you notice, it says occupation. This is goofy. Let's see what we've got here. So we have a birth certificate for Helen Marie Simmons. Oh, I know. I probably manually put this in, maybe, because there's no media here. Right? I may have manually put this in years ago when I was looking at Helen Marie Simmons, his daughter, looking at her birth certificate and named him as a plasterer. And I'm like, oh, well, there's a fact. Let's throw that in there. But the reality is, plasterer shows up on several records, and if we wanted to, we could edit this and say attach source, and then we could say, okay, well, let's see, I think it was, let's go back and look. Was it the World War II draft registration card? It said he was a plasterer. Next page. Does not say. Does it? I didn't miss it, did I? Nope. I don't see it. And you're probably going, hey, Connie, it was right there. Let's see. Oh, I know this. Usually city directories do. Yeah, see? City directory says plasterer. So what we can do is we can take this occupation. This is important. In fact, I did a whole video on the Genealogy TV channel about occupations that tie. And the reason why I did that was because it's these occupations that sometimes helps us tie records together. And so knowing that, what was that? Now I forgot. Was it the city directory? I think it was the city directory. Yeah, city directory. All right, so we're going to add the city directory to the occupation. So we're going to add source, and we're going to go down here to the city directory, wherever it is. There it is. And we're going to add that. And we could do this with all of our records if we wanted to. But knowing that he was a plasterer, it now ties to the city directory. It also ties to a federal census and his daughter's birth certificate. So it's just a matter of hitting edit and then add the source, whatever that source might be. And then it probably is in his Social Security death records as well, but I'm not going to go there. You know, because YouTube will probably take down my video for showing it. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to work on these last couple little pieces here, and that's going to be it for today. I think next time we'll maybe start digging in and see to go find the records that we're missing. All right, we'll catch you in the next video.